So I'm assuming since you clicked on this video, you saw some footage of Tua suffering head trauma last night in the game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I was going to give you guys my opinion about this, but I feel like that every sports broadcasting outlet has talked about this all day, minute after minute after minute. So I don't really have anything else to add to it. I'm thinking the same thing you guys are thinking. We noticed he had a concussion last week. It was obvious, regardless of what the medical staff has said. Why did they let him back in that game? Why did they let him in this game and after a short week? It doesn't make any sense to me. But what I did notice is that a lot of doctors and neurologists have said that a lot of people are talking in certain outlets, in whether it be Twitter or whatever, but they don't really have an understanding of what exactly happened. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to bring you guys on the Magic School Bus or do some type of after school special educational thing, and then just react to a video of a doctor explaining the science behind what happened to Tua last night in the game. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help me out on my goal to 1,000 subscribers, baby. And if you rock with the content, go ahead and hit the like button. And today's my birthday, so go ahead and hit that like button for me for my birthday. Hey, all right. But without further ado, let's get into this.
What we just witnessed in Tua is a clear sign of head trauma tonight. And I'm extremely frustrated and upset about this, as well as just genuinely worried for Tua's well-being. Welcome back.
Absolutely, man. Prayers out to Tua, man. That was scary to see. That was really scary to see.
Everybody, I'm Dr. Brian Suter. If you're new here and you enjoy learning about sports medicine topics, then please be sure and subscribe to stay up to date with my future videos. What we witnessed tonight on the field with Tua is extremely hard to watch. It's something that is extremely serious, and this is clear and obvious signs of head trauma. Of course, I uploaded a previous video talking about what we saw happen last week with Tua. Of course, he fell, hit his head. There was this whole controversy about back injury versus a concussion, but was cleared from a concussion and now was playing in a game just, I think, 4 days later.
Which was so weird. Like, how did he get cleared from that? Where obviously from the eye test, you've seen him stumbling and almost falling down to the ground. So I'm curious to what type of test that they're using to see whether he's players suffer a concussion or not, and who's the ones who created these tests. Are they medically have people from different doctors and stuff came together and was like, yeah, this is the test that you need to do in order to do it. I know that there's a good chance that, yeah, they probably did do that, but it was obvious that he suffered a concussion just from him stumbling. If he didn't stumble and he played a full game and then we found out after the fact, they would be like, oh, okay, yeah, there was no way they could have known, but I don't know.
In this play, Tua falls backward and basically hits his head on the turf again, kind of similar to what we saw happen last week. It's a combination of whiplash, his head striking the turf. So again, a clear mechanism for a brain injury, brain trauma. What we witness afterwards then with Tua having his hands sort of contorted in that awkward position is what we call posturing, right?
Yeah, so this part right here. So I was doing stuff around the house when the game was playing on the TV, and I saw this part of it. I didn't see the initial play where he actually hit his head on the ground. So I thought well, maybe because I heard the announcer say that he was sacked. So I was like, okay, maybe he broke his hand or broke some fingers, which is why his hands were in that position. So I didn't think nothing of it until they showed the replay showing his head impact on the grass, and then watching a pause after this play and seeing them bring out the stretcher. And I'm just like, whoa, this is really serious. And it was really scary to watch. Like it really was, because you don't ever want to see somebody suffer a really bad injury on the field like this, regardless of what sport it is.
This is similar to the fencing response that we can see, these abnormal posturings that occur in the setting of significant brain injuries or concussion. Yeah. His fingers are rigid like that because of this continuous electrical signal being sent to those muscles as a result of that head trauma. We saw something like this with Donald Parham last year, where he was having those shaking kind of tremors of his arm.
I remember that because I remember Justin Herbert was throwing him a pass at the back of the end zone. He caught the ball. He obviously was out of bounds, but he landed on his back, but somehow the back of his head hit the grass. No one touched him. He just rolled on the ground, and then he just didn't get back up. And he was just stuck like this, and his eyes were in the back of his head. So that was really a freak accident that happened and ended his career. His career was done after this. Was just last year. So that was pretty scary as well. As far as his hand posturing, I noticed this from like boxers when they get knocked out. But obviously with them having gloves on, you can't see what their fingers are doing. So when I saw it like this without someone having gloves on, it was kind of weird to see and kind of weird to know exactly what caused that outside of him possibly breaking his fingers or something like that from a play.
Arms. And so this is on that same scale of what we can see in the body and the limbs as a result of trauma to the brain.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a concussion, all these signals just start to fire and discharge in the brain. And so you can get patterns of abnormal electrical activity that result in these posturing patterns, the fencing response, or just the arms and fingers locked in a certain position because of that increase in the muscle tone from the nerve signals. In this situation, right, we don't know if Tua is responsive at all. He could be completely unconscious. I frankly didn't see a moment when they were taking him off on the stretcher where it looked like he responded or was moving his legs. Obviously, we saw him taken off on the spine board. And remember, in these situations, if an athlete is unconscious, we have to assume that there could be a neck injury, even though there was nothing about this play that looked overly traumatic to the cervical spine itself. We can see they've taken off the face mask because, again, in transport, you don't want to have any risk if there is a cervical spine injury of the athlete stopping their breathing. You need to make sure you can put a breathing tube in. And so we see that they've also removed his face mask. Part of clearing somebody's neck or cervical spine is that they can answer questions reliably. So if they're unconscious, then you have to assume worst case scenario and put them on the spine board. This is really hard for me to talk about and not get extremely frustrated and just emotional about the situation because of everything that happened last week. We know that when somebody is returning from a head injury, if they return too soon before they've recovered, they can have another head injury and be more susceptible to those symptoms, right? We've all heard about something called second impact syndrome, while extremely rare, can be extremely serious. I'm very glad that on the broadcast, they got somebody out there to say that that posturing with his hands was a clear sign of brain trauma, because the public needs to hear that. The public needs to be aware of this, as I think most people are watching it. I don't know what the response is going to be going forward with this whole investigation from last week. Obviously, at the moment, the biggest concern is just Tua's health and well-being. I'm sure they're going to get him to the hospital, do scans to look and see if there's any bleeding inside the brain. I will say bleeding wouldn't develop quickly enough to directly cause that posturing. And so hopefully those scans will turn out to be normal. But this is still very suggestive of a significant brain trauma, a significant concussion. Along with those tests, right, they're going to have to clear his neck as he becomes more alert. They're going to have to make sure that there's no other injuries that he's sustained. And then obviously in this case, there can be no denying it. You're in the concussion protocol, right? We talk about those no-go signs. This is clearly one of them. That posturing that we see is a clear outward sign that can help you and tell you that there's been brain trauma. Hopefully things are okay, and this is another learning situation to make these protocols better, because this is extremely scary to watch as a sports medicine doctor. It's extremely scary to watch as just a sports fan. And I, number one, hope things are okay, but then number two, hope that this is a time to make things better and to improve this whole situation and improve athlete safety. That's it for the video, everybody. Let me know, as always, any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah, man. Prayers out to Tua. Prayers out to his family. I'm hoping that he does a lot better. Like you said, I know last night they said that he had the activities of his limbs back, which is great news. I'm hoping that, like you said, the scans come back negative, that everything works out as well. But ultimately, I hope that Tua makes a decision that's best for his health. I'm not saying that he should walk away from the game of football, but if the doctor suggests that, I hope he makes a decision to carry on with his life as opposed to worry about his career in football. And I understand, like, because a lot of people counted him out. A lot of people say he should be let go from the Miami Dolphins. And I'm sure at this moment, once he started catching fire and becoming the number one QBR quarterback in the NFL, he's like, you know what? All these people doubted me. I'm finally catching some success. In the beginning of the season, I'm at the top of the ranks in some compartment when it comes to QBs, and a lot of people don't get to experience that. And I get to show all these people who doubted me that I'm a lot better than they think, which is great, which I love the fact that people have heart. But, you know, he knew that something else was going on. Even though he said it was his back, he knew. And in football, obviously, a lot of people are like, I have to be tough. I have to bounce back. But what I tell a lot of people is you have to take care of yourself. The two main parts that I always tell people to take care of, I say take care of the rest of your body. One is your heart. You know, always have to take care of that. But most importantly, you have to take care of your brain, no matter what, because you can't get a brain transplant and you only get one brain. Once you damage that, you know, a lot of it can be lifetime, you know, situations happening to your body, or even worse, And I would like to know what are they going to do as far as the whole situation with the medical team in regards to this, because what happened to him on the field last night, in most cases, could be the best case scenario because it could have been worse. It could have been worse. And can you imagine something worse happening on the field on live TV like that? So thank God that he was able to get up or get on the stretcher and come to a hospital and get the activity of his limbs back. But man, at the end of the day, guys, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. For Tua, the NFL is going to be here regardless of if he's there or not. For us at our jobs are going to keep going regardless if we're working there or not. It doesn't matter if you're working at the bottom. Doesn't matter if you're a CEO. Even companies keep moving even after the CEO has gotten sick or had to walk away. They either have to appoint someone new or they replace them with somebody else. In some cases, they actually sold the business after the owner has walked away. So we have to actually think about our own personal health, take care of ourselves. Not even if it's not for ourselves, take care of ourselves for our family, for the people around us, because we are important to somebody. But at the end of the day, again, prayers out to Tua. Hopefully he gets better. Hopefully they get better with this concussion protocol. It's really strange to see, especially, I think, how long ago was that when they were like concussion protocol crazy in the NFL, and they were like, we're going to do all these things. And even that movie Concussion came out and they were having all these campaigns and things like that. So it was weird to see that happen. But I get that in sports with huge impact, where people are slamming helmets and stuff like that, things like this is going to happen one way or another. But the practice of how they cleared them is really weird to me. I'm not saying that someone should lose their job, but if that happens in result of this, then it is what it is. But what do you guys think about this entire situation? Did you guys learn something from this video? A lot of this stuff I already knew, but did you guys learn something? Let me know in the comment section. Again, if you like the content, go ahead and hit that like button. Thank you guys so much. Salute. Peace. Have a good day.